Awesome. So the stream is live now, and I will start the recording it once people start to get in, right?
Okay.
I have made you host. Would you mind making me co-host?
Sure. There you go. Hi, Mary. Hi, Eileen, Dennis, Gladys, RG. Good to see you.
Hello, Bob. I'm back with you again.
Yes, yes. Well, we're going to have a little bit of an adventure today. My Windows computer was giving me problems, and so I'm using a Mac to actually run the class today. And what we're going to do is we're going to cover all the material, but we're going to cover it through Microsoft's support website, which might be an interesting learning curve, learning tool because they have a lot of resources, and you're going to find out where to find things when I go looking for them too. Okay. And so it's a little bit of a challenge doing this, but we'll actually learn a lot of different things. I've set up Microsoft's website. We'll go through a lot of the material, but I can't actually show you on my screen how I actually do things, but I can show you on Microsoft's support site how they explain how to do things so that you'll have information available for the future when you want to do it as well. So it's actually very informative, and there's actually a lot of resources there for you. Okay, so as we get started, we got people joining in. So thank you for coming in today for Windows 10 Basics. And this is for people who really don't know much about Windows and what in the world it is and what it does. So we're going to talk a little bit about what Windows is, what it does, how it works, and take a look at some things available from Microsoft support website that are just a huge library of resources that you may not have ever known about. Okay, and they do have some step-by-step tips if you want to try them out, but you'll also get I'll also be putting links in all of these into the chat as we look at each of these different web pages from Microsoft support website. Well, let me share my screen for a second and go through some introduction, and then I want to get an idea of how sophisticated our users are today and what types of things they're interested in learning about. Okay. So today, I'm Bob Cohen, by the way. I'm in Seal Beach, California. I was born in the Midwest in Chicago and came out to go to college. My dad was a school teacher and later on a high school, an elementary school principal in Chicago. And I worked in the tech industry my whole life. And I've owned my own internet service company and started a training business in 2007 to train people in how to use technology. And I like trying to make technology simpler to understand. There's a lot of ways to do it that are kind of interesting to learn. Okay, so it's really helpful for that. As you know, get set up. Some of you have taken classes before. Ideally, we can see you and your cameras around. That helps me recognize you. I'm going to give you a few little tips with Zoom that'll help you get my attention and give me some feedback on Zoom during a meeting that are kind of helpful too. You can request a recording after class. Go to the email at help@getsetup.io, that email right there. And that's pretty much the email you use to get anything. We have a teaching assistant. Michael is with us today. Hello, Michael. He put a note in chat. He'll be monitoring any technical difficulties or any issues that we might have. And if you're joining by live stream, we do encourage you to set up an account at getsetup.io. And even though we might be mentioning a lot of products today, we're going to spend most of our time talking about Microsoft's Windows 10 operating system. We're not paid to promote anything specifically. So we will go through those. Now, let me go over the agenda a little bit. It's a little bit different agenda, but because we're dealing with the technical difficulty that I'm having with my Windows computer not working, but there's always in technology another way to do something, okay? So we're going to take a look at understanding Windows 10. Oops, let me go back here. Sometimes my mouse clicks and it goes in advance. So we're going to learn about Windows 10, what it does. We're going to learn about our way around the desktop, the start menu, and the taskbar using Microsoft's support website, which will give you a lot of information that will help you understand where you're able to get help after class as well. We'll look at Microsoft security. We'll look at some other tips that are available and other things that we can learn from Windows. But we have a nice size group today, so I wanted to kind of get an idea of how long people have been using Windows 10. Windows 10 came out about 5 years ago. Who's been using Windows 10 for less than a year? Anybody using it less than a year? Okay. Anybody still trying to figure out how to make sure their computer is doing what it's supposed to be doing for them? You know, I mean, we all have a little technology, a fear we want to learn. I want to help make you a little bit less afraid of technology so that you understand it a little bit better. And I can show you on Microsoft's website where all the help is available for anything you might want to use. But as I mentioned, I have a Windows 10 computer problem today, so I'm adapting the class a little bit to take advantage of Microsoft's website resources, which are really fantastic. There really is a lot out there, but we'll be covering everything that's on the agenda for Windows 10 Basics. So I have some coffee here and I have a glass of water. So while I take a sip of coffee, let me see what kinds of questions people might have about Windows that they're trying to get up, trying to figure out. Anybody have anything specific they're hoping to learn about Windows? And I'm going to use an older technology called a pen and a paper to write down questions. Okay, so let's see what kind of things we've got. Mary, do you have any? I'm just going to go a little bit one by one. Mary, do you have any questions about Windows 10 you're hoping to get answered today? Go ahead and unmute yourself. I forget to do that all the time too. Oh, you remuted yourself again, Mary. Go ahead and unmute just once.
Well, there we go.
Okay.
I actually have gotten a new Windows 10 and I don't know how to use it at all.
Okay, so it's brand new to you, huh?
Yes.
All right. And we have two Marys. I'm sorry, I didn't see
Three
that.
Mary, Mary Lou, Mary, and Mary.
Mary Myers, where are you located, Mary Myers? What
Right
part,
here.
right, what part of the country?
Oh, I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Okay, and Mary Rom, you had a question. Where are you located first?
I'm in Central Florida, 2 hours from Disney World, 2 hours from Tampa, 2 hours from Daytona Beach.
Okay.
Right in the middle.
And you had a question about Windows.
Yes, I watched a YouTube video the other day on these Windows 10 basics, and they kept showing to hover over the Windows image. And on mine, when I turn it on, I don't have that Windows image because I've got like a background. So can I turn that background off? And is it really advantageous to be able to see that Windows symbol?
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about backgrounds and things. So Gladys says it's new to Windows 10 from Texas. Sandra, do you have any questions about Windows 10 you're hoping to get answered today? Just trying to figure your way around.
I'm interested in learning a little bit more about the way files are, how they're used, It's different from the old Windows, the filing system. I'm interested in knowing more about the filing system.
Okay.
And sometimes I have difficulty finding the files that I want and how they're being saved. And also about files being saved in the cloud.
Okay. All right. Good question.
And
Mary
how,
Lou,
and how do you control the icons on the desktop?
okay. Control them. You mean like get one up there or delete it or something?
And the size?
Oh, the size. Okay. Okay. All right.
Mine have gotten very small.
Okay. We'll show you some things called ease of access. I'll go to the website for Microsoft on that. And Eileen, did you have any questions? Okay. All right. So Michael put a note in chat. What happens with Zoom meetings is that our microphones on our computers are really sensitive to noise. The other day, my neighbor is doing roofing work, and I was able to adjust the settings on my microphone so it didn't pick up the hammers pounding nails. But normally, it's good etiquette on Zoom to mute yourself unless you want to speak. But you can interrupt with any questions anytime. But also, if you look at the Zoom window at the bottom of your screen, there is a microphone, there is a video camera, and as you scroll over to the right with your mouse, you'll see a button called Reactions. And Reactions is a way to pop up a message in your Zoom window. I'm going to raise my hand so you'll see what it looks like, when I raise my hand. But I can applaud, I can give a thumbs up, I can send some love, so that little reactions button gives you the ability to do those things in there. So, and when you want to raise your hand, feel free to do that. And if you just give it like a thumbs up or something, that'll go away in about, I think it's about 5 or 10 seconds. Okay. So Eileen, you have your hand up. Are you practicing?
No, I was in the middle of talking, but then I guess he had muted me just as I started to speak.
Oh, I'm
You
sorry.
had
We were
asked me a
picking up some
question.
noise. Yeah, sorry about that. Go ahead, Eileen. You got a question.
That's okay. I'm having trouble like the other lady when I've tried to download something, like an app or something. I don't know where it goes and I can't find it. There's one that I downloaded called Copy Me That. It says I have it, but I don't know where it is.
Great thing. I think that's has to do with understanding the start menu, and we'll take a look at that. And like I say, because of some technical difficulties, I can't show you live on my Windows computer exactly how it works, but I found some great websites on Microsoft that'll help us out in showing you how it works. Okay, and they'll give you the same steps, and it might be easier sometimes because we can refer back to those things too. Okay. All right. Yeah, the start menu is probably one of the most challenging things because, finding where things ended up is a real challenge for people when they're using Microsoft. I'm going to move a few things around my screen here a little bit to get set up for screen sharing so that I can see people and don't block everything. Okay, so I'm going to share my web browser, which is, you're saying, well, that's odd, Bob, because, and like I say, I apologize for having some technical problems today with my Windows computer, and I have a Mac as a backup, so you can, with the websites here. So this is Microsoft support website, okay? And I'm going to copy the link into chat here for you so you can see it. And let me make sure I copy it to everyone. Microsoft provides free support. And one of the things that you want to be sure of is that when you're getting support on the internet, you can see this address here. Can you see me drawing a line around that? Okay. So when you have an address that you want to use on the internet, sometimes it'll say something like Microsoft XXX or something like that. But what you want to be sure to always go to is a website that says Microsoft if I can spell it right here. Okay, there we go. Microsoft.com. And you can see this is called support.microsoft.com. But Microsoft.com means you're on Microsoft's official website, okay? And that's what's valuable to know about, because you're going to have times when I'm not available, right? You know, and you're going to be outside of class and you're going to call your favorite family member that's your technical support, and they say, gosh, I just don't have time, you know, or they're not going to answer the phone. Getting technical support when you need it is about learning how to find things yourself. And Google search is really good, but Microsoft's really, really got a great website. This is their Microsoft support website. It has support on Windows. It has support on all types of products, Office, Outlook, Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Edge, more devices. Microsoft actually makes some products. They tell you what's new, and they tell you what's available in the Surface and Xbox and deals. So I'm on Windows support right now, and this is a completely searchable tool. Now I've saved a couple of web pages because the agenda that we have today does cover the start menu and a few other things that I want to make sure I show you specific, but you can see here they have information on some common issues like installation and updates, or devices and drivers. Well, a driver is not a car driver in a computer. A driver on a computer is a piece of the operating system that talks to some hardware. Network and internet, files and storage, security, troubleshoot, repair, and accessibility. We're going to take a look at all of these really, really, and take a look at them because they explain everything that I normally explain in my class to you as well. I'm going to share something different now because I want to explain a few things about Microsoft operating systems, okay? An operating system, for those of you that want to impress your friends and family, this is the story to remember. An operating system is like the middle layer of a layer cake. You know, you have a bottom layer, a middle layer, and a top layer, okay? 3-layer cake. And the hardware, oh darn, that mouse wants to be misbehaved. The hardware is the bottom layer. It's the physical item, okay? So this is my phone, it's a piece of hardware. My laptop's a piece of hardware. My desktop's a piece of hardware. It's hardware, okay? Apple makes Macs. Companies like HP and Dell make computers that can run Windows, but the physical hardware is made by Hewlett Packard or Dell or Lenovo. Apple makes iPhones and iPads, and there are companies out there like Samsung and LG that make Chromebooks and Android phones. The hardware has a CPU, it has memory, it has the physical things, but without the operating system makes it useful. It's kind of like having food in the kitchen on the shelves and in cans and storage, but not knowing how to cook anything. I was watching Downton Abbey, and I'd never watched it when it was live, but I was watching it streaming. And there are a couple of scenes where some of the people from the upper floors come down to the kitchen, and they don't even know how to boil water, right? That's how how the class system worked in England during the 1910s. And so if you just have the hardware, it's basically like a dead piece of paperweight. It's like just a paperweight that doesn't know anything to do. The operating system makes it useful. The operating system has the ability to turn that hardware into a computer that you can use with applications. So Apple makes the Mac OS. Microsoft Windows makes the Windows operating system, and they sell it to other people. So when you buy a computer, like from Dell or Lenovo or Costco or Best Buy or wherever, and you get a Windows computer, it's got Windows 10 pre-installed on it already. And that's what makes it useful. Okay, that gives you the ability to run some applications. So iPhones and iPads have iOS, Chrome and Androids have the Chrome OS or the Android OS. And that's the middle layer. The operating system is the middle layer. It talks to the hardware on the bottom. Well, the top layer are applications. Those are the things we really use. So we use applications like a web browser, like anybody using Chrome for their web browser or Microsoft Edge or something. We use a word processor. We use email. We use document creation, like, tools. We use those are all, we might use an app like Netflix or something to watch TV. Those applications talk to the middle layer, the operating system, and the operating system is the go-between between the application and the hardware. So that's what an operating system does. When you power on your computer, the first thing it does is it puts the operating system into memory. So your computer can be a computer. Without an operating system, your computer is just a piece of silicon and metal and plastic. It just really doesn't do much. When you open up your computer, you've typically got something called a desktop. There's typically a background image. When you click on the Microsoft button, on the lower left, you'll open up the start menu. You might have a taskbar along the bottom, and you might have things called tiles and search. We're going to take a look at some of these, okay? Because managing your desktop makes it really easy to navigate your way around. The idea being it's helpful to get your computer to do things you want it to do. Sometimes there's a right-click context menu. I mention this because a lot of times you may not have realized it, but on almost anything you do on a computer, if you right-click on your mouse or right-click in the trackpad in the upper right, you might get a menu that pops up that gives you options to do things. And then we've got a Windows operating system. The word Windows comes from the fact that when you open an application, it opens up in a window on your desktop. So when you have an application and you open up one, it opens up a window. And when you open another application, it opens another window, and another application opens another window. And these can sit on top of each other, and actually kind of be overlaid, or you could have one window that takes up the whole desktop, for example. Okay, so, but a window is an application running on our computer. Now, Microsoft gives you a couple of applications, not a lot, but some. They give you a web browser called Edge. They give you an email application. They give you a couple of other things. And where do you find those applications? Well, you find them in the Start menu. Any questions so far? Kind of getting a little better understanding of technology and an operating system, and the fact that it's that, yeah, you'll impress your friends and family if you tell them, hey, in case you want to know what an operating system is, it's the middle layer of a layer cake, right? And they'll say, what do you mean? Well, the bottom layer is the hardware, the top layer is the applications, and the middle layer is the operating system. And they'll go, wow, that's really smart. Okay, so it's a great way to impress your friends. All right, so let's take a look at Microsoft's website here. This is their support website. And I found a link here called See What's on the Start menu. I'm going to post it in chat. And I don't know if you knew it or not, but when you join a Zoom meeting, every chat session is saved in a Zoom folder in your documents folder. Zoom automatically creates a folder in your documents folder that saves the chat from every meeting you join on Zoom. So that's how you can get to the chat later on. Okay, but all of this is from Microsoft support. Okay, so what's on the start menu? Apps. Let me put my cursor up here. I like to draw when I show people things. Apps, settings, and files can all be found in the start menu. Just select the start button on the taskbar. Now the taskbar is this row of things at the bottom of your screen. And so there's a little menu, little Windows menu icon that is right here in the lower left-hand corner. When you click on that, you will open up the start menu, okay? That's how it works. And you can do things like pinning apps and programs or moving and regrouping, and you can resize the start menu. We'll take a look at those after we scroll through some of this. Okay, so what happens? This is really great. I love it. Microsoft does a great job explaining things. So when you click on the start menu, it opens up this window, this little pop-up that appears. And this is a menu that expands to show things. If you have a Microsoft account, it shows your icon here if you set one up, but if you typically Microsoft will ask you to set up an account, and so they want to just identify you and licensing. You can get to File Explorer. File Explorer is the name that Microsoft uses for their file management tool, File Explorer, and it's available right here, or it might be available. You might see something that refers to documents or to photos if it is quick. And then you've got a link that opens up settings and a power option here. This middle column here shows you the applications, and it shows you the most recent or the most used. And then it starts listing them in alphabetical order. So I forget who mentioned it, but somebody mentioned they downloaded or installed an application and they can't find it. It will be somewhere in this menu, and you can scroll through this and go through all of the applications in the alphabet. Now, you can personalize the start menu. Okay, if your computer will normally go to sleep on its own, but if you want to, you can you can put your computer to sleep by clicking on the power button, and you can select sleep, restart, or shut down. Sleep. How many of you have a smartphone? Probably everybody, I imagine, right? You know, it's these days, a few people that when my smartphone screen is blank right now, it is asleep. If I want to wake it up, I just tap the screen and that wakes it up. Your computer goes to sleep as well. The screen goes blank, it uses a little less power, but it doesn't stop it from working. All of your applications are just put into a state of like suspended animation. Think of it like Sleeping Beauty. You know, she went to sleep, but she was still there. But when she woke up, you know, everything was there. So sleep just puts your computer to sleep, and your computer does a lot of things while it's asleep. One of the things it does is Windows checks for updates while it's asleep. Windows will automatically, you don't have to do anything. Windows is set up to automatically check for updates when your computer is asleep. So you want it to sleep. If you wanted to, you could power it off and shut it down completely. You don't have to do that often, but Microsoft and Apple both recommend about once a week, maybe, to do it. And then if you're having a problem, I was trying to get my Windows computer working right. I was trying to restart it, and it just didn't seem to want to get it working right. So I'll have to do, I didn't have time to get it ready for class. So I'll work on that after class. Okay. So the start menu has a lot of options. You can change how the start menu looks by selecting the start button and then clicking the settings gear, and then going to what's called personalization and then start. So they give you step by step here what you can do. And then you can change how the start menu looks. Do you want to show more tiles or show fewer tiles? Do you want to show the list of apps or other things, so that you have the ability to modify your start menu? Now, if you wanted to pin one of these applications to the taskbar, you just have to right click it and it'll give you an option to pin it to the taskbar. And then you've got tiles here as well. Tiles gives you the ability to change, to see applications very quickly, and you can right click on a tile to change how it appears and what it does as well. So that's what's on the start menu. Any questions about the start menu? Does it make a little more sense now why it's there and what it's there for? You can usually start it with the little icon in the lower left, or with the Windows key on your keyboard. That both work. Okay.
Bob, this is Brenda. You said that we don't have to power off. Like every day I power my laptop off, so we don't necessarily have to do that.
No, you don't have to do that. Letting it sleep is okay. In fact, when it's asleep, it'll go off and check for updates and automatically install them for you from Microsoft. So it's a good idea just to let it sleep. Maybe every, once a week you can shut it down for the night if you want to, but you don't have to shut it off. It does save a little more power, but in sleep mode it uses much less power. So, like, think of your iPhone. You have a phone?
Yes, an iPhone.
Okay. Do you power that off every night?
No, I don't.
Okay. Your iPhone is just another type of computer, just like your Windows computer. And the old days of needing to power something off are gone from Windows and Macs as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you see, I mean, technology has gotten better. Sandra, you got your hand up. Thank you for using that, by the way.
Oh, when it checks for updates, is it only looking for updates to the operating system, or is it also updating applications?
It will update the operating system and anything that's part of the operating system. So if, for example, it won't, when it's asleep, it won't always necessarily check like for an update for, say, Chrome, if you use the Chrome browser, but Chrome has its own schedule for doing updates, and it will typically do it while it's asleep as well. The applications are smarter about updating all the time, so they typically will do that. So sleeping is a good thing. It's like taking that afternoon nap to get refreshed, for the rest of the evening. So it's a good thing to do. Okay. So somebody asked a question about resizing something. So lo and behold, they have a little link right here that says resize the start menu. I'm going to right click on this and open it in a new tab because I want to do that. And I'm going to make it larger so we can see it better. Okay. If you want to personalize your start menu, you can make it really big. Okay. So you can make the start screen fill the entire desktop if you want to. Maybe that's okay, maybe it's not, but you can if you want to. So you can go to Start, Settings, Personalization, and Start, and then turn on Use Start Full Screen. So you can customize how it looks a little bit and change things how you look. So if you just want to resize the start menu a bit to make it taller or wider, you can just select it with your mouse and drag the border of that window. So if you selected it at a corner here, you could drag it and make it bigger or smaller. The idea being, you kind of have a car, and when you are using your car, you want to customize how things fit, we want to adjust the steering wheel and the seat position and the radio station you have that you start with. Those are some things that help you, that just basically make it a little bit easier to find things. The start menu has all of these things on it for you. So we've taken a look. This is all your apps and programs right at your fingertips, okay? Start menu. Let's take a look at the taskbar. Okay, how to use the taskbar in Windows 10. This is better than me, okay? This is straight from Microsoft. So let me make this a little bigger for readability, okay? If you can use the taskbar for more, you can personalize it, change the color and size. Let me draw it on here so you can see what I'm doing. Change the color and size, pin your favorite apps, move it around, and rearrange or resize taskbar buttons. Check your battery status. And so these are all things you can do in your taskbar. So they give you step-by-step instructions on how to do all this on this page. Let me post a link into chat for you. And you're going to get a link to the main Microsoft support site for these things, so it'll help you out. And I'll post these links. I'll add these to the notes here. Well, I'm going to click yes, thank you for the information. No thanks. Okay. So pin an app to the taskbar. To pin an app directly to the taskbar, you can do it from start or the jump list. Okay, that list of apps that's in the row is called the jump list. So if I wanted to pin an app to the start menu, they give me options for doing it. Here's the instructions. Now, whenever you see a little arrow, like on a computer screen or a phone or an application, that arrow means there's more information in a list that you can see. There's more information. So I'm going to click on the arrow, and it says in the search box on taskbar, you can type the name of the app you want to pin. That search box that you have right here in the search in the taskbar, you can search for apps. So if you're saying, gee, where did I put that app? You can just start typing the name of the app. And then when you select more and then pin to taskbar, okay? Or you can pin an app from the app list. When you're looking at the list of apps, this is how it looks, okay? So if the app's already open, or if you see it in the list, swipe, then you can locate the app icon here, right click on it, and then select pin to taskbar, and that'll pin the app in the bottom here on your taskbar. So that makes it easier to find. If you want to change multiple aspects of the taskbar, you can go to taskbar settings. Press and hold any space on the taskbar and then select taskbar settings right within the taskbar. So if you put your mouse anywhere in the taskbar and you right click, you can go right to taskbar settings. And that gives you the ability to change the color, the background color of it, lock it or unlock it so that you don't accidentally make changes. Change the location. You can move it to the top, the bottom, the left or the right side of your computer screen. Change the height of it, and you can see the battery status in the lower right-hand corner of your taskbar. If you don't see the battery status, if you go to Start, Settings, Personalization Tool, and you're not going to remember these, I know, but this is all on the website. So if you think, gee, where do I figure out how to customize this? Okay. And it offers all of these resources for you, all on how to use the taskbar in Windows 10. Okay. So that's another thing. The taskbar and the start menu are two of the most important things in understanding how to get your Windows computer working the way you want it to. Okay, so we had a question about File Explorer. You know, they change things. So if you're used to using Windows 7 or Vista or XP, and every time they come out with new Windows, it's like, okay, I got to find stuff all over again, right? File Explorer, they like to say, okay, it's gotten better with age. Okay, right? Which means they changed it, is what happened. Okay, so on your taskbar, there is a little icon for File Explorer. Okay, it's a file folder. Or you can select it on the start menu, or if you press the Windows key plus the letter E on your keyboard. Computers will typically give you at least 2 and sometimes 3 or more ways to do the same thing. Some people really like using keyboard shortcuts because they find they're faster. If you use them a lot, they're really, really handy. So something like, Control C for copy or Control V for paste. Those keyboard shortcuts. This is a keyboard shortcut where you just hit the Windows key and the letter E, and it opens it up for you. Clear that drawing, okay? So when you want to use File Explorer, it opens up. Now, one thing they did, and the OneDrive class helps out with this, but OneDrive is now part of File Explorer, okay? So OneDrive, Microsoft and Windows 10 and the latest updates and everything, it's going to show you OneDrive right away, along with your local drive, because you can really keep things. Now, there's a great class on OneDrive, but you can also click on OneDrive on your PC. So what happens? When it opens, you'll land in Quick Access. This is Quick Access right here. And this shows you folders that you use frequently, automatically. So the idea being is that it's going to help you find things you've used most recently on your computer. And that's what Quick Access is. It's okay, here's things that you used most recently. This is actually a screenshot of Windows File Explorer, how it appears. Okay, so that's one way to get to things. You can use apps to share files and photos, because sharing will let you use your OneDrive account to share applications. But you can see here's your OneDrive, this drive, and this PC. If it's in OneDrive, it might also be on this PC, but it might only be in OneDrive. OneDrive is Microsoft's cloud storage. And Microsoft gives you 5 gigabytes of storage for free, but with a Microsoft 365 plan, they give you 1 terabyte of storage in your OneDrive account. And the advantage of keeping things in OneDrive is that it's backed up. That's one of the advantages of it. So it's backed up. It'll store all your documents, all your photos, anything you do on your computer, okay? Any questions about File Explorer and OneDrive? We do a class on organizing files and folders on your PC. So Sandra, you've got your hand up. You have a question. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
While I feel like they push you to save things on OneDrive or some other cloud. There's so many clouds that sometimes I don't know where my stuff is. I don't know if it's on Samsung has a cloud, and then there's OneDrive, and then there's what's the old one? I still
Google
use it.
Drive and iCloud. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many clouds that that I get confused sometimes as to where stuff is. And then they want to make you pay once you go over. And that's what I first learned when I used the very first the very first cloud program that I used. And I still use it today, but for some reason, I've lost the name of it. It won't come to me. But then they wanted me to pay because I had gone over my limit. And so then I started pulling files back to my hard drive and got them out of the cloud. So, it's hard to control, it's hard to keep up with them all. How do you do that?
Well, when you, it's kind of like we did a class on understanding the cloud a little bit earlier this morning. For me, it's morning still. But depending on which devices you use, if you use mostly your Windows computer, I'd recommend, at some point, you're probably going to have to pay for some cloud storage, okay? Because increasingly, like Apple, Google, and Microsoft are all pushing people into that way of subscribing to a service, and they don't give you enough storage. You can just store things on your PC, but do you use an Android or an iPhone for your phone, Sandra?
I use an Android.
Okay. You can install OneDrive as an app on your Android phone. And so if you keep everything in OneDrive, you can get to it from your Android phone or from your Windows PC. And it's available to you. So part of it's what's going to make life simpler for you. At least that's my philosophy. It's not everybody's philosophy, but that's my philosophy. And so, or if Samsung makes a cloud drive that you find easy to use on your PC, then maybe use if that. But I don't know Samsung's cloud drive, but I do know Google Drive works on PCs as well. So pick one cloud and just start keeping everything in one cloud, and that will make life.
Bob, we got a question.
Yeah, Anita and RG. Okay, so let me get Anita. She had her hand up first. Thank you.
Awesome, sure.
Okay.
Where do you, is this where you would find the stuff you said you could, the stuff that's held in chat? Is this where you'd look for that?
Oh boy, that's a good question, Anita. Yes, yes. If you go to your documents folder, in the documents folder, there will be a subfolder called Zoom, and that's where you would find chat. Now, unfortunately, iPads and smartphones don't save the chat files, but Windows and Macs do. Okay. Windows and Macs do.
Thank you.
Sure, sure. And let's see, RG, you've got a question. How do I transfer? I'm looking at your chat. That's why I'm not looking at the camera. I apologize for that. How do I transfer a document from Google email to my PC files? Oh, wow, that's a good one. Well, when you're using something on the web, you need to download the file, okay? So when you you would probably, you might be able to, I don't know in Gmail, but I think you can right click on any attachment in Gmail. And then when you right click on it, it'll give you the option to download it, but I'm not positive on how to do that in Gmail, to be honest. Once you download the file, it's there. So Brenda's saying, I don't see the chat in my documents folder. I'm wondering if Phil could check that out for me, and see if Michael could check out if there's a setting people need to have set for saving chat available in the documents folder on Zoom and their Zoom account. That
You will need to, someone will need to save the chat and then send them over to, I guess most guides do that in the after class notes.
Oh, okay. Well, I know when you're in your Zoom settings on zoom.us, when you set up your account, it is possible to, even if you're a participant in class, to save the chat file. So it might be something in your Zoom settings. If you want to send an email, they may not like me for this, but I apologize. So if you want to send an email to help@getsetup.io, you can ask them if there's a way to save chat on your own computer. I think maybe because I'm the host, it saves it automatically. But as a participant, I know participants have been able to see chat as well. But it might be a setting in Zoom you have to change. Okay. Some differences from Windows 7, okay? If you're coming from Windows 7, my computer is now called this PC. So instead of saying my computer on the left of File Explorer, it'll say this PC. And libraries don't show up unless you want them. Some people use libraries, but I don't know too many people that use libraries. Okay, so File Explorer, okay? So let's take a look at another setting. Stay protected with Windows security. Windows users, you may not know this, but Windows 10 includes Windows security built in. Right from Microsoft. Don't take it from Bob. It includes the latest antivirus protection. Your device is actively protected the moment you start Windows 10. Right out of the box. Right out of the box. When you start using Windows, when you bought your computer, it has security built in from Microsoft. You don't have to buy anything else. You get it. You get Windows security as included with Windows 10. So what happens is that computer companies like Dell, HP, Lenovo, retailers like Best Buy, they get a commission from people like Norton and McAfee and others by giving you a free trial version of their security software on their computer. And when you buy it, Norton or McAfee or whatever, they'll pay HP or Dell or Lenovo a small commission for finding them a new customer, right? But Windows from Microsoft includes Windows security. It's built in, okay? And it's updated whenever you get your Windows operating system updated. So it's automatic, okay? And it continually scans. Okay, so it says updates are downloaded automatically. Okay, that's what happens. I think it's pretty neat. A lot of people don't know that. Is that something that's new for some of you that you didn't know before? Is that new that you didn't know? Oh, okay, because Windows comes built in with that. Okay.
Anita is asking, isn't that Defender?
Isn't that Defender? Yeah, Anita, sometimes it used to be called Windows Defender. In fact, that's a great question. So in previous versions of Windows 10, Windows security is called Windows Defender. Okay. Now they just call it Microsoft Defender Antivirus. Microsoft is really wacky about the way they name things, you know, so that sometimes they'll change it. Why did they make this more? Why didn't they just keep the same name, right? But they sometimes change names. If you have another antivirus app installed, Microsoft Defender will turn off automatically. If you uninstall the other app, Microsoft Defender Antivirus will turn back on automatically. You really have to work really hard to unprotect yourself on your computer. It's pretty hard. You'd have to really know a lot about how to change a lot of things on Windows. I think it's pretty neat that they include it automatically. I'm just really happy they do. Okay. We've covered a lot. I'm going to copy and paste this link. I'm going to include links in the email attachment for these websites as well. But this was a little bit different. Thank you all so much for letting me go through this through Microsoft support website. And hopefully, I may start incorporating a little bit of this in the Windows 10 basics class, because these are great resources for Microsoft for no matter what. I mean, you could spend, well, you may not want to spend the whole day browsing Microsoft support, but you could if you wanted to. Go ahead, Anita. You have a question?
Yes. I'm having trouble getting to favorites. When it updated recently, it now won't let me add favorites. Why?
Oh, I think you're talking about the web browser in Edge, or when you use the web browser, Microsoft calls that favorites, okay? We don't have a class on using Edge, but that's we're looking at trying to do something on Chrome. Do you use Chrome or Edge? You're probably using
I use
Edge.
Microsoft Edge. I have Chrome, but I prefer
Yeah.
Edge.
Yeah, it's something you can probably find help from on Microsoft. It's a little bit beyond what we can do in the class today.
Okay.
It's something where if you just go to Microsoft Edge support, they'll give you, if you look at the products here, and let me share my screen for a second here so you can see it. And then I see Valentine has a question too. Let me show you on the screen here where you can find these things. So if you look at Microsoft All Products here, there's Microsoft Edge on their support under products. And you can probably type a question in there about, about favorites, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And Valentine, you have a question.
Yes, sometimes it pops up on the screen about the virus. Is it a good idea to always click on that, or is it a scam?
The only thing I can tell you without actually seeing the pop-up message, Microsoft Defender will typically just automatically protect you. And so if you, depending on what the pop-up message is from, if it's from your antivirus software, but sometimes it can be a scam. And so the best thing to do is to go to your settings and go to Windows Update and Security, and then you could run a scan manually if you want to. I'm not a fan of trusting pop-up messages. But and so and without knowing exactly what it says on it and looking at it, I couldn't tell you whether it's honest or a scam.
Oh,
And
okay.
so better to be safer than than get in trouble. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
Sandra, go ahead. You got a question?
I've been one of those people who buys the antivirus program and I've bought Norton for many, many years. So are you saying that the antivirus program that's built into Windows 10 is enough to really protect your computer, and you feel confident with that? Because viruses come out daily. How do you, and the computer only updates once a month?
Well, actually, when you let your computer sleep, it will update at least once a day. Out of the box, Windows Update is set up to automatically go and check with Microsoft and say, is there anything new coming up in Windows? Because Windows Update Microsoft patches security bugs and security functional issues in Windows Update. But if you use, they also will download automatically the latest version of Microsoft Defender for you. I forget the new name of it now, but they'll automatically download that. And it'll do it frequently throughout, at least once a day, if not multiple times a day. Okay. Boy, I'm so happy you guys were very willing to let me go through class with some of Microsoft's, Windows support site. I'll probably fix up my computer tonight and get it working for tomorrow. I've got a class on Windows settings. these website resources are great for Microsoft because then you can always go back and find how to do things step by step. You can see they really give you step-by-step instruction that's always available. So it's like having a reference guide. You know, you didn't get an instruction book when you bought your computer, did you? You know, they don't bother giving you one anymore. It's supposed to be intuitive is the word they call it, but Microsoft support website is your instruction book for your computer. So I'm glad you were willing to let me show you how to do that. For a little more advanced, you know, things in Windows, the Windows 10 settings class is good. The OneDrive basics class is good. People love to set up Zoom virtual backgrounds. I do a class on PowerPoint. I do some classes on finding apps on the App Store. You're going to get some notes. I'll remember to post these here and do that. So, you know, we'll make sure we've got to refer a friend, give me some feedback. I'm just curious if you had any comments. I know I couldn't technically show you live on my computer, but I'm curious for any feedback. Did it help to show you Microsoft's website and where you can find the resources there? Okay, good. Then I might start including a little bit of that in the Windows 10 classes I do. You can invite a friend when you register for the class as well, and you can request a copy of a recording of the class. But you know, we also invite you know, members to host an interest group, suggest a new class if you'd like to know more. I do a class on how to organize files on a PC. So that might be helpful if you want to know where to find things and how to look for things on your PC. If you have any questions, I'll be around for a few minutes here to answer any closing questions. So I'm glad you enjoyed the class. Thank you for the comments. Appreciate the feedback. You know, when you run into a technical problem, you just gotta go with the flow. At least, you know, I try to. So hopefully that was beneficial for you to learn some new things that normally I wouldn't have covered in class too. So thank you. Anybody have any questions? I want to make sure I cover everything. Great. Well, thank you all for coming, and good to see some familiar faces. And I hope to see you again in some of my other classes. Thanks for participating today and making the class a lot of fun for me too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bob, can I ask you about OneDrive before you drop?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, I did have a class on OneDrive and I moved a whole lot of files over there. Then I ran out of space and I wanted to move the files back to my computer, but it looks like it was trying to delete the files totally. Is that the way it works?
Well, it shouldn't. When in File Explorer, it gives you the ability to move a file. You can actually click on a file and drag it into a folder that you want to move it into. I haven't seen the message when if you delete it from OneDrive, if it's going to delete it everywhere. I don't know that. I'm not, I haven't run across that myself, so I can't say 100%. But normally when you move a file, I click on files and drag them to move them. And so that's how I move files in and out of OneDrive and other cloud drives.
Okay, I'll try it again then.
Try that. Try dragging it into your this PC, you know, and see what happens if you drag it into a folder on your PC and see if it moves it that way.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks. Okay, bye-bye, everybody. Have a good day. Maybe I'll see you later on in some classes too, okay?